welcome back to another episode of Will I Be Able To? And today we're going to be talking about managing breaking bones. If you're new to this channel or you've just accidentally got here in a little spiral situation on YouTube, I have brittle bones, also known as Osteogenesis Imperfecta, and I have type 3, which basically means I have broken a lot of bones in my life. To give you the backstory, I broke 14 bones at birth, 3 in each arm, 3 in each leg, 1 on my collarbone and 1 on my chin. Hopefully, Mum, if you're watching, I got that right. So, obviously, this is a rare, not obviously, but this is a rare condition. But there are quite a lot of us around the UK and the world with this condition. Because it's genetic, we look very similar, we have very similar kind of bodies in terms of type 3, but obviously different types look different. Yeah, that's it. I think for this episode in particular, I'm just going to talk about breaking in general and how I manage breaking bones, because that's something as a child and as a teenager, I didn't know how it would work. Like, I'm not going to lie, when I was a kid, I have a lot of trauma associated to breaking bones. That is the one thing that where, like, when people are like, oh, bless her, it must be so hard. Like, yeah, breaking bones is hard. And that's how, like, my stubborn, independent person almost struggles a bit. I feel a bit torn with, I don't want sympathy, but also pain is not great. Like, and I think it's okay, as I've got older, it's okay to acknowledge that that's hard, but it's getting that balance of, for me personally, and I don't want, obviously everyone's different, and I would never ever judge anyone on how they deal with their own trauma or pain. Some people might even cringe that I've said trauma. Like, some people just get on with it, and that's great. Like, kudos to you. But I think, you know, as someone who's broken way over 300 bones in my lifetime, there is a lot there that, you know, I've got a lot of memories of pain and doing the most simple things and breaking a bone, or I might have been having a really good day and then all of a sudden I've broken a bone and the day's changed. So, yeah. And I'm conscious that people watching this, there'll be non-disabled people who are just interested and they want to learn more, or there might be disabled, brittle people watching this who want to relate, but then there's also possibly carers and caregivers and parents who are watching this, so I want to be really careful about how I talk about it, so please bear that in mind, and if you've got any questions underneath, let me know in the comments, and yeah, all I can say is this is my journey, and it's not the same for everybody, so yeah. So in terms of breaking, obviously when I was a baby and a child, I probably broke the most just because I was the most fragile, but then I was doing movements that I didn't really know my body well enough. So, for example, there's been so many silly broken bones that we can laugh at. We're allowed to laugh at. Like, for example, you know, I went to A&E with a broken arm, and they were like, what did you do? And I said, I put my pencil case on my head. Like, obviously the motion of lifting this heavy, to me, heavy pencil case on my head broke my arm. And the reactions from the doctors was like, anyway, so yeah, I've broken my arm with putting a pencil case on my head. I've broken my leg on Harry Potter Goblet of Fire. We always knew J.K. Rowling wasn't the best person, and I should have known then. What else? I have driven over with my powered wheelchair. I was chasing my brother around an industrial estate, went over the speed bump and broke my leg. And he thought I was laughing, and I was actually crying and sobbing. So, yeah, there's definitely been stories, and I think as I've got older, that's funny. But obviously when you're a kid, it's not funny. And so, routine-wise, what we used to do is, it would be very traumatic. I'd scream and cry. my parents definitely had a routine of taking me to A&E rather than calling an ambulance. That was just what they did. I don't know whether it was the sense of they wanted to be in control rather than someone doing it, and trying to explain everything to a stranger. So we'd go to A&E, we'd wait for hours with x-rays because my bones are very fragile. The x-ray has a very grey line of my bones rather than a white, strong bone. Does that make sense? So the stronger it is, the whiter it is, and it's easier to see the break. So for a lot of my childhood, I would go to A&E for hours, be screaming and crying and saying I've broken my arm, but they'd look at the x-ray and say, nothing's there, you're alright. And obviously it would be so frustrating because I knew it was broken, and then a few months later when it healed, you could see the white heel of the crack. So that was definitely hard at times when you knew you were in pain but you weren't believed. But obviously, I think as I got older, I realised I didn't really need confirmation from the experts, in quotes. I was the expert and I just needed pain relief and a cast slash pot, we call it in Yorkshire, but a cast situation. So yeah, and I wouldn't always get a cast, it depends what it was. So any limb situation, I'd get a cast. But if it was like a rib, obviously there's not much you can do for a rib. What else? Collarbone, I'd probably just have like a fabric sling almost, because obviously as well, in terms of brittle bones, you've got to be careful what you put on your body because that could cause more fractures. When I was young anyway. When I'm older, it's getting a lot better now. So yeah, it was definitely interesting, and obviously I couldn't dictate when I would break. I didn't know when I would break, so I've had a lot of, breaking something at school. Luckily not that much. There was definitely a famous one where I was like strolling to school with my friends and I think someone bumped into me, but honestly it was so gentle, it wouldn't have hurt anyone else, but my arm broke, and I think that was the one time where I felt bad, they felt bad, it was chaos, and after I went to A&E, I was like a teenager, I was like, I've got to get back and show her I'm okay, and yeah, so there's a lot of like managing other people as well in that situation, especially as you get older and aware of people. But I suppose when I was a teenager, I was like, how is this going to work when I'm out and about, when I'm an adult? I couldn't kind of see how that traumatic incident would work as an adult. Like, you can't just be, well, I mean, you can, but how do you manage that spontaneous trauma? Will I be sobbing 1 minute in a supermarket because I've picked up something heavy? But I guess what I've realised is that it's not really like that anymore. I think with knowing my body really well, I know what I can and can't do pretty much now. And annoyingly, it's never the... So for example, I've like slipped in the shower, broke nothing. I've sneezed and I've broken a shoulder, but I've not gone like, ah. It's more like, oh, it's like a fight or flight and you just freeze. Is that, yeah, I don't know. Freeze, fight or flight, whatever it is. I've just frozen and like, it hurts, but I can breathe through it. Because I do get a lot of questions as well, like, does it hurt? Because you've had it so many times. I'm like, of course it hurts. It hurts just as much as it hurts you. But because I'm used to it, not even used to it, it's like I know what the pain is. So it's not as much of a shock, but it still bloody hurts. Of course it does. So yeah, when I was young, if I broke, I would get like, my mum would have like morphine in liquid form for that traumatic moment. So just in case we're out and about and I hurt something, she would have that instant, pain relief for that moment. But honestly, as I've got older, I don't carry that with me now, because oh God, every time I say this something happens, but it is so rare because I am managing my body so much better. So I'm not ashamed to say I regularly have painkillers for my everyday aches and pains, my arthritis, and that's something that I've been vocal about, especially in winter. In summer, it's a lot better. And again, that's not everybody's journey in the community. Some people don't have anything at all, some people do. And then if I break, I have something stronger. I'm not going to delve into it just because I think some things are private and I don't know. I think some people can definitely have certain opinions on things, and I'm not about that. But just to know that, painkillers are a part of my life, and I think that's great for me. And I think that's really important. If you are brittle or you're a caregiver, there's a lot of stigma around medication. Depending on where you are in the world as well, it's obviously a very taboo topic. But if you've got a broken bone, like I have a regular rib break, I have an arthritic hip, there's a lot going on. So, of course, I'm going to take pain relief when I'm in pain. As you can see, I can feel quite passionate about that. Managing it is a lot easier now. I've got a good rapport with my doctors. They listen to me. I definitely feel like my own advocate. I do say to my mum, I struggle sometimes when I go, and because you always have to have a review of painkillers, and even though literally I break ribs regularly and collarbones and whatever else, it's still hard to ask for painkillers. I still, probably that's why I'm so passionate, because I still feel that internalized ableism from other people. Just from little comments like, say if I'm out and about and I might get a tablet out, people will be like, what's wrong? Oh my God, what's happened? And it's like, nothing, I'm just trying to navigate my everyday pain as much as possible. So yeah, I find that hard sometimes talking to the doctors, to non-disabled people, because sometimes even, obviously my regular doctors know me well now, but if it's a new doctor, they're like, that must be really hard. And then obviously you're like, yeah, and like my lip starts quivering, but I'm okay. But I'm a very emotional person. I'm like, if we're gonna enter that door, I'm gonna open that door and get wobbly lipped. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. So how do we summarize this? So, if you're brittle, in my experience, my breaks have got a lot better. They're definitely not as traumatic anymore. I know what to do in situations. Honestly, the worst ones have been when I've been drunk. Not gonna lie. So take that information as you will. I'm not gonna tell you not to drink. But as I've got older, I've realised the correlation of when I drink less, I break less. Not just like for silly things that I've done in a club or whatever, but also it does impact like my energy and how my body feels for the hangover. So just bear that in mind, that's all I'll say. And breaking bones, yeah, it's not nice, but it's not a huge part of my life, even though obviously it's my disability. There's so much more to my life than breaking bones. So yeah, I hope that's helped. It's such a complex topic, but it's something that I would have really liked to have heard when I was a teenager. So, yeah, let me know whatever your experience is. There's going to be someone in there that says, I've never broken a bone in my life. Well, I'm really happy for you, Barry. No, I'm joking. You can tell me that if you want. And if you've got any other questions about life as a disabled person or life as a person with brittle bones, let me know in the comments, because I'm trying to tackle one topic at a time. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.